All right. Hello, everyone. It took more than a few minutes to get ready and to get over some of those technical difficulties. But I'm finally here and I'm ready to do some painting with you all. So thank you so much for your patience. I had this really elaborate description of the class written out, and it was supposed to be posted with the live video, but it all got erased and deleted, and I didn't have time to rewrite it. So I'm just going to explain some of the things that we're going to be doing today. We are going to be using one of these papers here, this square piece of paper that I cut out as our canvas, and we have a little bit of scratch paper that I'm using as well. I really wanted this to be a celebration of Earth Day as well as a celebration of Agnes Martin's paintings. She lived in New Mexico for most of her life, and she really embraced the grid format. So, and in addition to her grid paintings, she did a lot of stripe paintings as well, with different designs and different colors. So I find them very beautiful, and I tried doing them a while back, and I found it to be a very reflective and meditative process. So I thought it'd be nice to use that as a way to de-stress in this current time, in this season. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and I'll keep talking as I paint. So grab some materials like a paintbrush, a jar of water, and a palette. You can use a paper plate and some scratch paper and a piece of paper. I'm using a very small piece of paper. This is 5 by 5 because I don't have that much time to finish mine, but if you want to use something bigger, you are totally welcome to do that because you might have a little bit more time to finish than me. I also have this from last art class. I decided to keep it and reuse it because there's still some empty areas where I can clean my brush off. So yeah, since it's Earth Day today, definitely want to be mindful of the supplies that we're using and that we can reuse over and over again. Okay, so I'm going to play with some colors, and I encourage you to play with the colors that you like the most. I'm going to try to emulate one of her paintings that I like, which has like a pale pink, a pale blue, pale yellow stripe. And I'm going to attempt to make those colors today with you all. I'm going to be using a lot of white, so I'm going to just put a bunch of white into one of these little areas in the palette. Just grabbing some of my paints. And some blue. Okay. All right, but you can decide on your own colors if you want. So if you really like purple, you can put some red and blue onto your palette and make kind of a nice pastel-y purple. I'm deciding to go with pink, blue, and yellow. So this is kind of more like a bubblegum pink right now, but I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to the mix to make it a bit more peachy. it's nice and, you know, really a meditative process when you're just mixing colors too, and to see where it takes you. I'm almost there. Just want to make it a little bit more pastel-y. Okay, I think I'm there. It's a nice pastel pink. I'm going to test it out on my scratch paper first. Let's see, do you like the consistency of your paint? How does that feel? Maybe add a little bit more water to make it glide a little bit more easier across the piece of paper. Nice and easy flow of paint. I like that. I like that. All right, so I'm going to grab some more of that paint. I'm going to decide. I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to things, as you can tell. See, my blobs of paint are all already mixed together, which is not a good habit, but you know, it's just the way I do things. We all have our own ways. And so, you know, Agnes Martin was very much a perfectionist. Everything had to be square, everything had to be perfect in terms of measurements. She would spend, you know, hours and hours doing the math. But I'm not Agnes Martin, and you're not either, so you can do it any way you want. I'm going to try to make my stripes even, but if you don't, that's totally fine. So I'm going to kind of guesstimate a nice size of my stripe. If it makes you feel better to use a ruler, please do that. This project is all about feeling positive, feeling good, de-stressing. So if you don't like this pink color, you can use whatever color you want to start off your first stripe. Just nice to feel your brush against the paper and to hear the sound of it as well. It's kind of a nice sound. All right, so I'm done with my first stripe. I'm gonna keep this intact, this color intact, because I'm probably gonna repeat that color one more time. I'm gonna clean my brush off. Let's see if you can see that. All right. And then I'm going to use my paper towel to clean off my brush like this. Check if there's any more paint on there. All right. And once this shelter in place is over, I encourage you all to go to the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, where you can see Agnes Martin's paintings. There's like maybe 7 or 8 of them in one little room that's dedicated to her paintings. Okay, next I'm going to make a pale yellow, so I'm going to grab some of this white here. And I'm going to add it to this yellow. Grab a lot more of that white. And because I want it to be a little bit more warm, I'm going to grab just a tiny bit of this red over here. It's all about the subtleties of the colors and what even just a dash of red is going to do to your mixture. It's really fun to mix colors. Okay, so I like that. I'm going to test it out briefly on here. That looks good to me. If you want to keep fiddling with your color, you can do that. You can take as much time as you need. You can pause the video at any time. I'm going to keep going here. All right, I'm going to add some more water to my paintbrush so that it glides on nice and easy. I'm going to start my next stripe a little bit beneath the stripe that I just did. And later on, I'm going to fill that in. It's hard to see because the colors are so close to the white, but I'm going to fill in those gaps later on. And again, this nice meditative process, just painting stripes, blocks of color, and nice pastel colors. Okay. There's that so far. Then I'm going to move on to blue. And the blue that Agnes Martin uses is kind of like a periwinkle. So I'm going to try to attempt a periwinkle, which sounds kind of hard to make with this blue, but anything is possible. So we're just going to keep a positive attitude. It's looking okay so far. I wonder what it needs to make it more periwinkle. Maybe since periwinkle is a little bit close to purple, I'm going to add a little bit of pink into it. So let's add some of that red from before into the mixture, making it slightly a little purple. Oops, I added too much. That's okay. We're just gonna keep on adding more of what we need, which is a lot more white. And sometimes you make some happy accidents, so sometimes you make colors that you didn't intend to make, and you end up really liking them and using them, which is great too. Ooh, I think I got it. I think I got the periwinkle color. Okay, so what I did, I mixed some blue and white with some red. I added too much red, so I added more blue and white, and now it's this kind of purpley bluish color. Okay, I'm gonna test that out on my piece of scratch paper like this. Ooh, that looks good. Okay. And you can see that I compliment myself a lot when I do art, which is really a little bit embarrassing, but it's really nice to have a positive attitude about your process and what you're doing. All right, so I'm starting my third stripe. Really exciting. And trying my best to make it even in terms of the width as the other two stripes, but if it's not perfect, I'm not going to be upset. There. There's our third stripe. I hope you guys are feeling nice and relaxed as you're doing this. The process of mixing colors as well as painting the stripes is really nice and relaxing, at least for me, and I hope it is for you too. I'm going to clean off my brush. And so something that I did a few days ago, or yesterday actually, is I created this, it looks black, but it's just really concentrated, like reddish pink. So I made this out of bougainvillea flowers from my yard. And what I did was I just grabbed a handful of them from the ground, and ones that already fell off, and I steeped them in hot water for about 20 minutes, and I made sure to get the juices out of the flour with a spoon by pressing down, and it created this color of water that's kind of like a watercolor. So I'm gonna actually try using it. I decided to do this because of Earth Day and all the wonderful things that we can get from the earth, and reusing, recycling, whatever there might be in and around our homes. So this, obviously, it's not going to yield that much color, but you can see that it does actually yield a pretty good amount. So I left the flowers in the water for about a day or so, about 20, almost 24 hours. And then I strained out the flowers and I got this. So it's not exactly the same thing as that, but I'm going to try using it for, I know you guys probably didn't prepare this for the class, which is totally fine because it's, you didn't know that I was going to do this, but it's a nice activity to try with your kids or with your adults. If you are a kid watching, it's nice to kind of forage for those things around your home and use them for your art projects. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. For my next stripe. I also did some research and I watched a few videos on YouTube on how to make paint. Basically, if you have like a mortar and pestle and you grind up some dirt or any other natural elements that you can grind up into like a powder, if you mix that with some water and some egg yolk, then it becomes egg tempera paint, which is really cool actually. So I kind of want to try that myself. Okay, so that's that paint, or that ink that I made. I'm going to move that aside now. And I'm going to keep going with the rest of my colors. I'm going to keep going with that yellow from before. I'm going to have to make some more of it, so I'm going to add some more white to this yellow color. And remember, I didn't want it to be too yellowy. I wanted it to be a little bit more peachy. So I'm going to grab some of this pink and red. Wow, red really makes an impact. So be careful not to grab too much of the red. That looks more like the pink. So I'm going to add some more yellow to that. And some more white. This is why it's good to clean your brush whenever you use other colors of paint. I'm just being a little bit lazy, which is okay. All right, so there's that again, and it's probably not going to be exactly the same color as this, and that's okay. We're just going to keep going. I can already tell that it's a different color. It's a lot more dark, so I would just add some more white to this. And I'm going to add some more water to my brush so that it glides on a little bit more easy. All right. What I can do right now is actually just, add more white. My white is all muddy now, but that's okay. I watched a Agnes Martin documentary on Canopy, which is one of our free video streaming services, and I saw her actually do this exact same thing to one of her paintings. She thought the red or the pink that she was using was too light, so she added a second layer of red on top. Her paintings are usually 6 by 6 feet or 5 by 5 feet, so they're a lot bigger than this. More labor intensive, but still very meditative. So I encourage you to learn about some more artists on Canopy by watching some documentaries. There's a lot of really cool documentaries on that site, as well as foreign films, other indie films, educational kids videos, all that good stuff, even some exercise videos. Okay, so I'm cleaning my brush off. All right. Agnes Martin would probably look at this and be like, oh, that color is not the same as that. But that's okay. She's not here. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. Oh, good thing I made a bunch of this periwinkle, because then I don't have to make it again. So another tip for future projects is to make a generous amount of paint so that you don't have to keep making the same color. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. We're almost done making the second round of periwinkle stripe here. Anytime I feel like the brush is, or the paint is fighting with the paper, just add a little bit more water so that it just goes on a little bit more easier. Some more paint, more water. see that I didn't measure out my stripes in the beginning, so I'm left with this really skinny stripe on the bottom. What you could do is you can fill that in again with this pink color, but you could also, because it's National Poetry Month as well, you can write a little haiku down there, or something uplifting and encouraging, something that will remind you that things will be okay, that everything is good as long as you have a positive attitude, something that will help you throughout the day. Let's see. I don't have anything particular in mind, but I am going to write down maybe something that I observed from outside my window. So Agnes Martin was pretty in tune with the nature around her as well in New Mexico. I'm looking outside my window and I see green grass blowing in the wind. Dot, dot, dot. Something nice and poetic. And there you have a very meditative piece that you just created. Something that reminds you about the pleasant experience of mixing different colors and putting them onto the page in the form of a stripe. Then depending on how accurately you measured your stripes, it might be perfect that you have something, this area right here is the same width as this area right here, but I didn't, and that's okay. So I just wrote something that I observed from outside my window, something that calms me. All right, and that is the project for today. I hope that you guys had fun and that was a nice little break from whatever you were doing. I hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. We have some story times for the rest of the week, tomorrow and Friday. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Earth Week. And keep on creating and keep on practicing. All right, thanks so much. Bye-bye.